Good morning, guys. Good morning, James. Good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Millie. Good morning, Marie. I hope the signal's coming in good, guys. We haven't done a live from here. I'm trying to cross the road, the sidewalk. They're doing some painting work up here. And good morning, Sue. Good morning, Alexandra. Good morning, Emily and Joshua, Claudine, James, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, Janine. So I have to cross here to go back up there. Good morning, Gemma. Good morning, Beverly. I'm gonna try and work back the other way here in just a moment, guys, so that the sun's not in the camera. Good morning, Virginia. Virginia is eating breakfast at Hoots on 41. Mackenzie, I love walking that strip at night with the lights on. Yeah, guys, this is beautiful at night. Like, one of these evenings, I'm gonna have to get down here in the evening. But the thing I like about coming out here this time of day is there's not a lot of people out here. Good morning, Janine. Good morning, Scott. Tim, good morning, man. Thanks for the update on the signals, Tim. Good morning, Sally, Vera, Nina, Mike, Anna, Dave. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Karen. I'm not familiar with Hoots, guys. Good morning, Rose. Rose, your sister had me worried yesterday morning, sorry. She had me worried. And I guess without realizing it, I worried your parents. So if your mom and dad are watching, Sandy's mom and dad, Rose's mom and dad, I guess I had them a little worried about Sandy yesterday. I was worried about Sandy yesterday, but Sandy is fine. That's funny, Scott. Yeah, having kids will change a lot of things, at least if you're a good parent. And it's why I really don't get to do many evening activities with the lives, just because, I've got a lot of family things. And I enjoy spending time with my family. So yeah, you guys might remember yesterday I was wondering about Sandy because Sandy it's not abnormal that she's not on the morning lives. I mean, sometimes she is, sometimes she isn't, but I saw her come on because I can see when she comes on, and then she never said anything, which is a little odd. Normally she'll send me a text or something saying, I'm on my way, or she'll comment on the live. But yesterday she didn't. And I was like, that is really out of the normal for her, out of the ordinary. So after the live, I texted her, got no response. Anyway, she was fine. She was having breakfast. So this is the Players Sugden Community Theater here on 5th Avenue South. At Christmas time, this whole area back here is really lit up. This is Ocean Prime right here on the right. Yaba's right here on the left. And Vergina right there in front of us. I love the architecture on 5th. I think it's one thing that is so nice about this part of town. All of these buildings are just beautiful. Good morning, Janet. And you guys will see these things around town. These and the turtles are sort of like a fixture of the community. And they're all different and they're all around town. This one is called Dabadoo. And it was done in 2002. And I'm gonna cross here and kind of walk back down. And there's the Inn on 5th right there. And you guys will notice they have Christmas lights on the trees year round here. And that's something that was discussed and actually voted on. Yes, in Naples, those things have to be voted on. They approved an ordinance several years back to allow some of these trees to maintain Christmas lights year round. Yes, Charlene, Lake Okeechobee is releasing more water today. So we'll see how that plays out. And you know what? I figured this. So I was going to have this discussion at some point today on our live. So now it's probably a good time. So actually, I'd like to see if I could find a place just to sit and chill. So let me see. And then we'll talk about those topics. We're just sitting, having a chat. During season, I love coming down here when it's cool. I'm not a big fan of crowds, guys, so I typically try to avoid a lot of crowds, a lot of people. But if you come down here in the mornings, even during season, there's not a lot of people. It's nice and cool, and you can, a lot of these restaurants keep their seats out, and they don't. Most of them really don't mind if you just grab a seat and just chill. And then there's the coffee house down here, and they're open in the mornings. You can come out here, sit, and have a nice coffee, some breakfast stuff, and they have good lunches too. Good morning, John. It's also at times challenging to do lives around a lot of people because some people tend to really not want to be on camera for a myriad of reasons. But I try to be very respectful of that. So here's a shady spot. So I was looking for a table, but I'm not going to find a table, at least over here. Janet's talking about a souvenir shop. Yeah, I'm not sure what one that is. I don't come down on 5th very often. I drive through it just to kind of get the feel of it, but I don't typically stop and get out and walk. Yeah, the trees here are beautiful. They do remove the lighted spheres, but there was a point in time where they were not allowed to keep the palm trees lit. All these palm trees have Christmas lights on them. And there was a period of time where they were not allowed to. I don't know what kind of trees they are. I'm not familiar with that. I can say there's a lot of work going on. There's a lot of painting going on. A lot of these buildings are being painted at this time of the morning, it seems. Windows are being cleaned. A lot of work. A lot of work. I don't know if those are, they don't look like banyans, but maybe they are. I'm just not an expert with that. So somebody brought up the releases that are going to start this weekend, today. And so fortunately, Naples has been pretty much in a better situation than a lot of areas. But I think we've all seen the animosity towards anybody making a positive comment about Naples beaches. And yesterday I got a message that the beaches around south of the pier were bad, which I haven't experienced. So one thing I wanted to do was create a concession. And I think it's important that we find a way to voice our opinions without it being argumentative. I talk about this a lot, you guys know that. I love this building, I love the painting, I love the, just like that building. Wow. I'm gonna step over here out of people's way. So one thing that a lot of people have been kind of coming back at with, not a lot of people, but whenever we make a comment in our lives that the beaches here are beautiful, you know, there's a lot of comments that come in basically saying, you know, we're sugarcoating or we're not telling the truth or whatever it may be. So here's what I think is a suggestion we should do. I am not opposed to the truth, because that's what we tell you guys we put out there. So here's what we're going to do. If you see beach conditions that are different than what we're saying, that's fine. What I would ask you to do is send us a message and send a picture. If you go to our Facebook page, you can send a message. Send a message with a photo and explain the beach conditions. But we really need to see it, because when it's vastly different than what we're seeing, I feel like we should at least give people and businesses in the community the respect of proving that the conditions that someone is saying are real. I'm not even worried about, yeah, and I know Virginia, some of them have been nasty, but I'm trying not to make this all negative. I'm really wanting to be positive about this stuff, but I don't want to lie about it. I don't want to, not even just lie, I don't want to be wrong. So what I'm asking is, by all means, let's share opinions, and let's even share dissenting opinions, but let's back it up. When we go out and we say what we say, we do our part of taking the camera and videoing it. So I don't really know why people question what we're saying, because we are we are showing it. So what I'm going to ask is, to everyone, I welcome you guys to say we're wrong, but what I ask is you to tell us exactly where you are in the message. You don't have to do it on the public page. Just send us a message, tell us where you are, take a picture of the beach and a picture of the street sign so we know exactly where it is, because there are people with ulterior motives. So we just want to make sure that if there is a bad beach condition, that we can justify it as true. So let's do that, and then what we'll do is we'll come back on our live, and if we can verify that is the situation, then I will come on our next live and I'll say, hey, the beach is great here, but we did get confirmation that a mile down the road there's a fish kill. So I think that is something that allows us to get along with those who are concerned that we're sugarcoating it, though I absolutely have not sugarcoated it, but it allows us all to give our opinion without fighting. So let's do that, and that way, you know what? We'll also be giving more beach conditions, and it almost lets us act as a community. So that keeps us being able and comfortable to say, hey, over here at 8th Avenue South, things are beautiful, without people thinking, well, just south of the pier, it's terrible, and you guys are sugarcoating it. So let's do that, and that way, even better, we can provide more information, and then even on top of that, we can all get along. So then we don't need to call names. Yeah, and that's the thing is we're only reporting of exactly the spot we're at. I think the sidewalk's closed over here. Maybe not. I'm gonna show you guys the new building they're building here. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you guys for all the support. Well, the thing was, I know that people are upset. It's a very sensitive subject. So I get the emotion. I'm just typically a person who, when I get into these situations, I try to remove some of the emotion from the conversation. And so it's hard for me to communicate with people when their comments are so emotional driven. And one thing I try to teach my kids is it's okay to be emotional, but when you communicate, if you are overly emotional when you communicate, people are not going to listen to what you have to say, and the message gets lost. And I also believe it's human nature that when you come at somebody really hard, the natural reaction is for that person to come back. And I think it'd be better if we could communicate on a little bit more calmness, with a little more calmness, and collect ourselves a bit, and then we can have a conversation. I'm gonna walk across the street. My phone's starting to heat up a little bit. So I'm going to try to get in some shade, and there is not much on the north side of 5th. Or on the north side. So there's the new building. That's gonna be 505 5th. And I do not know when that's expected to be done, but it is interesting. If you have not been to Naples in some time, there are quite a few new buildings on 5th Avenue South, this being one. And then you can see where it joins in with where they used to be. So those buildings just kind of moved down this way, but now they're gone. And I think, guys, that there might even be in the future, and I could be wrong on this, I think in the future that these are gonna be gone as well. And those are gonna be rebuilt. I think at least the two small ones, and it may be more. I'm not 100% sure what it is. Typically it seems like they do apartments on the top and then they do retail on the bottom. And here's the French. Tulia. I don't know why I said the French. Why did I say the French? Come and visit, oh, our sister restaurant, the French, okay. French is down a ways. Hello, Tim from Marco. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Scott. I mean, these new buildings are very pretty, but I kind of feel like it's, you know, when you figure these really small little outlets, like over there, we're kind of losing those small outlets for these bigger buildings. Just changes the look of downtown, but it's I mean, in fairness, they are beautiful buildings. They're not putting up ugly buildings. Oh my gosh, Kim, I have no idea. I can only imagine. It's outrageous. Yeah, look at all the available parking. This is what happens when you come out at 8:30 in the morning, guys. Now this evening, even at lunchtime, even during the summer, you're not going to find many parking spots. So there are 2 parking garages if you're not familiar. There's one on the north side and one on the south side of 5th Avenue. So right at Cambier Park, there's a really nice parking deck. And the parking decks here are very nice. They actually have signs when you drive into them. It knows, they have sensors that know exactly how many cars are in there. And there's a digital sign as you drive in the garage that tells you how many spots are available. So see, here's exactly why I do what I do, guys. As soon as I get past this, yeah, I'm gonna have to get past this guy on the blower. So there's somebody on here saying that there's a news outlet. I'm gonna have to go over here. It's really loud. Okay, so Sally says, this morning on our local news here in Winter Park, one of the co-anchors mentioned that her mom lives in Naples and said that they were not even allowed to walk on the beach. So when you guys want to know why I do what I'm doing and why I talk about red tide and why I'm talking about the beach conditions and I'm stressing what I'm saying, it's for those very comments. So there is somebody who thinks that the beaches are closed, and I'm not bashing that person. I would guarantee you that person has that impression because of somebody they've talked to. And the beaches are absolutely open for walking. The worst beach in Naples is Delnor Wiggins, and it's open for walking. So guys, I really encourage you guys to be careful who you listen to and what you listen to. It's just, there's so much wrong misinformation out there. It's really disturbing. There was a Naples Daily News article about so many of these businesses, even here on 5th Avenue, are struggling. And I know there's gonna be the person who comes back and goes, who cares, you know? But I care, because these businesses are the lifeblood of this town, and most of these businesses are small businesses. And it's really not fair. It's not fair. Also, people can get, 100+ people on their lives instead of 20. And it works. And so what they do is they come out and they do a live, and they see that there's, they normally get 15 people on their lives, and suddenly they start talking about red tide and how terrible everything is and how the world is ending, and suddenly they have 150 people on their lives. And so what do you think they're gonna do the next time they go out and they do a live? They're gonna do the same thing. And then the next day they're gonna do the same thing, and suddenly they start realizing this works. And before you know it, you have a perception that is not true. But here's the thing, you gotta be careful of attacking the messenger, because, and I'm referring to like the nice commenter there who made a comment about their mom. Their mom probably heard it from somebody else, just like most people have. Most people that I've talked to that have said these things say, well, I heard it from or I heard it from. My issue is the source. And listen, those sources, they know. They know it's not true. It's just that it's not. This is the perfect storm for driving social media ratings, basically. And we're just not going to engage in it unless it's true. And if it's true, I will say it. But if it's not true, I am not going to engage in that type of activity. So I've kind of walked around. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm really kind of milling about here. I'm just looking up and down, figuring what I want to do. I'm gonna walk back across and go up a bit further. I'm trying to stay in the shade because of the heat on the phone. So as I mentioned to you guys yesterday, Sandy and I have built a relationship with Pure Florida. And so starting next week, I think we're gonna go out on their boats, which is gonna be cool. So I don't know which one we're gonna do first. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll let you guys decide. So here's what we have the option to do. We have the option, and we're gonna do all of these, but we're gonna do them in, I don't know what order we're doing them in yet. So here's the options. We're gonna go deep sea fishing one day. We're gonna go on the double sunshine one day. We're gonna go out on the eco cruise one day, where the dolphin watching and eco cruise. And then we're gonna do a trip down to Keewaydin Island with them. So we're gonna do it next week, and we really don't know which one we wanna do first. So maybe you guys can tell us what you guys would like to see first. Would you like to see double sunshine? Would you like to see the eco dolphin watch? Would you like to see deep sea fishing? Or would you like to see the trip down to Keewaydin? And just so you know, the deep sea fishing, it goes 20 miles out, and so we won't have signal for all of that. So wherever we lose signal along that route, we will come back with video that we'll post later. We'll go from the live to just doing video and pictures and things like that, and then we'll show you guys later. I see a deep sea fishing comment, I see dolphin comment, and you know, I was kind of thinking dolphins too. I was thinking dolphins just because I know a lot of people love it. Are those paper boxes behind me? Somebody's asking. Joshua, jet boat. Yeah, we hadn't really talked to them about the jet boat, but I'm gonna do the jet boat either way. I really would like to see the jet boat. I've done it and it is fun. I would love to have one of these signs. Yeah, if you guys want to check out their website, it's purefl.com. And one thing I'll tell you guys, just something that's like a little tidbit that I picked up on it with them, was they have like the best cruise we have seen of anything I've done. These guys, the company is built on family first. They're built on safety, and their captains, without giving any names of other ones, but you know, just saying their captains are very much encouraged to do the safest thing regarding storms. There's no risks involved, and compared to other businesses sometimes. So, good people. Yeah, it was funny when my wife and I got married, we lived on 9th Avenue South, just 2 blocks in from the beach. And I remember we came to a realtor's office here, and it was none of these, the realtor's office that we came to back in those days, it was a long time ago, is no longer here. But it was funny. They saw two. We were looking for a place. We were living in a guest house down here on 9th Avenue South. And not there, go out and do some work. Don't tell me to go do work, woman. Don't talk trash to me, Sandy. It was funny. We walked in one of these realtors' offices and we were, 22, 23 years old. And they literally just like totally ignored us because they totally judged a book by its cover. So it's just funny how it works sometimes, how perception. Yeah, I am working. I don't know what Sandy's talking about. And Sandy should know that, because when Sandy's doing this, she's working. It just so happens that it's something we love. Ah, the sun is brutal. So I'm trying to turn the camera around so that it's not in the sun. So unfortunately, you guys got to look at me for a minute. So I'm curious, do you guys have any questions? While we're hanging out, do you guys have any questions? I'm gonna try and walk across the road here without getting hit. Thank you. So let's see if I can get in one of these chairs without getting yelled at. I think my best option is Roma. To have a seat outside of Roma. The reason being, and I may get run off, I know the owner of Roma really well. So I'm gonna have a seat here. And if they, so just so you guys know, if they do come out, I'm not gonna throw out the I know the owner thing. So if I get run off, I get run off. I don't wanna get put in that, I don't wanna put him in that situation. So if you guys have any questions, fire away. We're here on 5th Avenue South, Naples, Florida. And thank you guys for liking these lives. Thank you for commenting. And more importantly, thank you for the shares. Kilwins has shares, I know, but I'm not walking all the way up to Kilwins right now. Good morning. He was not friendly. See you in October. Good morning from Green Bay. Good morning from Green Bay, man. I gotta, like, I'm a big NFL fan, and like one of my dreams is to see, yeah, I am in the sun, but the phone's in the shade, believe it or not, is to see the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. I just want to see Lambeau. Let's see. Sandy, let's see. Sandy being funny again. Are there places like the town hall or information booths like located on the beach where you can get current information about the beach conditions or safety concerns? I don't know. I'm not real sure about that. I don't know. Jack is asking, where's a good place to live? There's a lot of good places to live. There, sort of the new area is the Livingston Road area. North Naples is growing. Everything's kind of growing out to the east. But if you want like family affordable, the average Joe kind of prices, Livingston Road and east is probably good. There's a neighborhood, Berkshire Lakes, that's really good off Radio Road. It's kind of the throwback, family neighborhood that there's not a lot of anymore. How long did I live by the beach? I lived there maybe 3 years. My wife was born and raised there. My wife lived right at the beach from the time she was born until we got married and moved. And it's easy to take it for granted. It'll wear you out after a while when you live like that. Of course, Sandy lives near the beach. She loves it. Let's see. I heard Naples has great schools. We are looking to move from a high property taxes New Jersey, either to Naples or Sarasota. Yeah, New Jersey probably has higher taxes than here, but property taxes here are kind of high as well. But it might not be in comparison to yours up in New Jersey. The schools, I would just say this regarding the schools. They're all different. And so just check the school district or the school zoning and where you're going to be. Do I play golf? Have you ever played golf at Foxfire Country Club? I have, and I do. I do play golf, and I have played on Foxfire. And there's some beautiful courses down here. And a lot of them are very, very expensive. But if you go in the summertime, you can get really good rates. It's hot as blazes, but you could go out and play 9 and get really good rates. It's very expensive to play golf here in the wintertime, even on average courses. Yeah, and Josh was right. I mean, you can find a 2,000 square foot home in a reasonable area, but it's going to cost you for 2,000 square feet. And obviously it depends on the area, but I'm just thinking of a specific area like Victoria Park. Victoria Park is beautiful. They're older homes, 80s. They're fairly small for the most part, and you're going to spend $500,000 for a 1980s home that is 2,000 square feet with a small lot. So that kind of gives you an idea. And Victoria Park, by the way, is a very nice neighborhood. That's like the perfect family neighborhood in Naples. And that's the place where in the wintertime, in the Christmas time, they do all the Christmas lights. They drive through. Sal's asking, did you miss my beach walk? No, Sal, we're doing this today. Sandy's not joining me today. She's got some prior commitments. So we're hanging out here on 5th for a little bit. I did walk up and down a bit. Just chilling with you guys now. Sitting out here outside of Roma Bistro. If you haven't been to Roma Bistro, come over here as well. It's a good buddy of mine. Guy that owns this place. Good guy. Do you know about bundled golf communities? I don't know much about them. I mean, in terms of the cost and the price and things like that. The thing about Naples is, I know like in a lot of towns, you can get a rough idea, even though you live in one place that's different from another within a community, you can get a general idea of pricing. And in Naples, it doesn't work that way. In Naples, you can have one price in one community, and then right down the street, on the same street, a community that is completely differently priced. Is 5th Avenue a popular spot or the hot spot? Yes, 5th Avenue South is the spot to be in the evenings, and on the weekends it's very busy. During season, this place is packed. Also check the schedules around Naples, because there are a lot of weeks during the year, like on Saturdays and Sundays, they have festivals down here, and they shut down the entire road, which is really cool, because then you can mill about and you can walk, and there's no traffic, there's no cars. Everybody's walking down the road. Scott says in Victoria Park, you have to decorate per the association, and that's true. I have a friend who lives in Victoria Park, and you do. You have to decorate your home. It's a requirement. Let's see. Gotta go. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Mary. You have a great weekend as well. Deb is asking, what does the M on my hat stand for? The M on my hat is in support of my favorite baseball team, the Miami Marlins. And I'm a big fan. Went to the World Series in 2003. Amazing experience. And I support them through thick and thin. They're a terrible baseball team right now, but support them. and we've had a lot of really good experiences, really special experiences there. Hello, Sergio. Diane. Good morning, Diane. See, nice for you to do this for out-of-towners. Thank you, Mary. I enjoy doing it because I know you guys love it, so thank you guys. Yeah, and so Sal's bringing up red tide, and Sal and I have had some goings back and forth regarding red tide. And yesterday, we had a gentleman named Ted come on, and Ted was a bit abrasive. And so here's, for those of you who were not on earlier, here's what we're going to do regarding red tide, because there's a lot of people who are really upset, and they think that we're just not saying things as they are. So here's what we're going to do. If you're out and about, we're going to call it as we see it based on the place that we're at that day. So only for the place that we're at. So if we're on 8th, we're going to call 8th as we see 8th. If you're down on 3rd, then you just, what you need to do, instead of telling us that what we're saying on 8th is not true, what you need to do, and I'm sorry, I'm reading comments while I'm talking. What you need to do is, if you're experiencing down here in Naples a totally different condition, then take a picture of the beach or a video clip of the beach and take a picture of the street sign telling me what street it is, and then send that to us on the Facebook page message button. And if we can verify that those conditions are accurate, then what I'll do is I'll come out on our next live and I'll say, hey, we're here at 8th and the conditions are beautiful, but we have verified that 10 blocks down the conditions are not very good. And that way, maybe people like Ted and I can find some common ground instead of calling names and doing things like that. And calling me a name doesn't really affect me, honestly. But what it does is, and my fear is that it'll take people that are on here seeing that comment and make them question whether or not the beach conditions are what we are saying they are. And I promise you, when we say they're nice, they're nice. If they're not, we won't say it. So that way, people like Ted and I, who have vastly different feelings on this situation, we can come to a common ground, and we'll do our part by sharing those conditions. Is Sandy busting on me? What is the Mickey Mouse Club thing? And Sandy, I hope you're not driving, because I'm pretty sure you are. Hello, Ronnie. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sandy probably should not be writing these. Oh, Mickey Mouse Club. Yeah, she's busting on me. Yeah, guys. Little story about baseball. Yeah, it is not for Mickey Mouse Club, I promise. For the Marlins. And my son got to meet my son's favorite pitcher. It is so loud out here. I don't know if you guys can even hear me. So we would go over to Miami. My son and I would take him over to Miami before our second son was old enough to go. He was still a baby. So to spend some time with my oldest son, I would take him over to Miami, and we would rent a hotel right by the stadium. And we would leave right after school, and I would take him over to Miami, he and I, just the two of us, and we would go watch a game Friday night, and then we would leave the stadium and we would stand outside and wait for the players to come out, because we had a hotel right across the street, so we didn't have to rush out. And so we would stand there and wait for the players. Well, his favorite player was Jose Fernandez. Jose Fernandez, superstar pitcher, really young kid, and he has since passed away. But it was, and due to some stupid stuff, but was my son's favorite player. Really was the only player he really loved, even though the Marlins had a generational home run hitter, Giancarlo Stanton. My son stopped backing up. My son loved Jose Fernandez. And Jose was one of those guys that you almost thought was too big to meet, too big to get to talk to. So anyways, after a game, Jose Fernandez walks out of the ballpark, and I said to him, I said, he was signing autographs for other kids. We didn't have a ball. I was stupid. We didn't have a ball, so I didn't have anything to get an autograph. But I leaned over to him, and my son was on my shoulders. My son was on my shoulders, and I leaned over to Jose, and I said, my son's over here. Would you just at least talk to him? Since he didn't have a pen and a ball to get signed, we didn't expect to. And so he said, he leaned over to me and he says, yeah, what's your son's name? And I told him. And as soon as he finished signing that other kid's autograph, he turned to my son and addressed him by his name and had like a short conversation with him. All these other kids are just getting a ball signed and he's moving on. And I think it was because my son didn't have a ball and wasn't just asking for an autograph. And he was actually wanting to meet him. And so it was really such a cool experience. And then my son was convinced that he knew him. And my son was convinced that those two had a connection. And so every time we would go to a game, I'd try to get low seats, and we would go to games where he was pitching. And then there was a game where he actually got a ball tossed up, and he still has that ball to this day. So it was just really, really cool. So he had a ball from Jose Fernandez. Just a little cool story. No point to the story. But that's that. So guys, I'm gonna look around a little here. Is there anything else you guys want to know? You know, we're not at the beach this morning. Yeah, we've actually had that situation a couple times where we met players and did not get autographs. And then later, I actually ended up getting autographs from those players. But the situation was unique. I have another really cool story. I'm gonna bore you guys with stories today. And this will be the last story I tell, but this is a very, very unique one. I've had a lot of really cool experiences in my life with athletes and celebrities and things like that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but my friends and family all know that there's like this thing where I end up being in the right place at the right time. But my son and I are big Carolina Panthers football fans. I am from North Carolina. And so, what is the temp? The temp is hot. That's all I know. It's hot and muggy. But we were going up to visit my folks over Christmas one year, and I got my son and I tickets to the Panthers. And this was the year they went to the Super Bowl in 2015. And so it was like hard to get tickets, but we got tickets. But because of the year they were having, we could only afford tickets in the upper deck. And even in the upper deck, it was like super expensive. It was more than I would normally pay, but it was, you know, they were undefeated at the time, and I was like, we can't not go. So, thank you. So I got us tickets to the Panthers, and we were sitting 10 rows from the top in a corner. And realistically, they were terrible seats. Let's see. Realistically, they were terrible. I'm gonna walk down here and see what's down here. They were terrible, terrible seats, but it was all we could do. So we get there early, we're hanging out, just the two of us, and trying to make a memory, you know? And we're sitting up there, both wearing our Cam Newton jerseys, and we had identical jerseys on, and we were sitting up there, hanging out, waiting on the game to start. And about 10 minutes before the game starts, man, I know those things are for safety, but it's really loud. About 10 minutes before the game starts, this man comes walking up. And we see him coming up because he looked like he was lost. He didn't look like he was sitting there. He looked lost. And he was looking around. And he just kept coming up and up and up, closer and closer to us. And I kept watching him because we're sitting right on the aisle and he's kind of coming up. And I'm just thinking, man, like, does he need help with something? Is he lost? Couldn't figure it out. Well, he comes up to my son and I, and he says, hey guys, he goes, at the water on Fifth Avenue is beautiful. Oh, Virginia, are you saying you're at the water on Fifth Avenue? You're right down the street from me. So this guy comes up and asks me, he says, are you and your son sitting here for the game? And I said, yeah. I mean, I was a little bit trying to figure the guy out. So I probably had a look on my face like, what is this guy doing? Why is he talking to me? And he says, would you guys like better seats? And I said, well, yeah, sure. I said, yeah, sure, I'd like better seats. He says, well, there's only 10 minutes till the game starts, so you guys should come with me. And it was like a hurry. It was like really hurried. And he never told us where the seats were. And really, truly, for like 5 minutes of moving and almost running, I felt like I was being punked. And I was like, man, if I'm missing the game, I'm going to be really upset. So he takes us down to the top of the upper deck. And he kind of teases us. And he says, you know, these seats look good. You know, front row of the upper deck. He says, these seats look good. But he says, these aren't the seats that we're talking about. And the whole time I'm trying to talk to the guy as we're running. And I was like, hey, man, I don't even know his name. I'm like, hey, man, you know, what's going on? You know, what are you doing? Like, where are you taking us? And he's like, we don't have time to talk. You just got to go. We don't have time to talk because the game was about to start. So we keep going, and we get down to the lower deck, the top of the lower deck. And I'm like, well, if he's sitting us anywhere around here, it's going to be really cool. Because at this point, you know, anywhere in the lower deck, you're like, you know, lower bowl, you're like, these are good seats. Well, he then goes up to a security guard because the place he was taking us required a special ticket. You couldn't even walk down there without the ticket. And the security guard's like, I need to see your tickets. And I'm like, what is going on? This man took my son and I and walked us down to the front row. Like, the field is right in front of me. This is the pole, and the end zone is right in front of us. And took us down there. Now, this is a 75,000 seat stadium. And he picked my son and I out and took us down there, literally dropped us off at our 2 seats, shook my hand, said, have a great time, and the guy bolted. I mean, it's incredible, man. This stuff's like stuff that happens to my son and I. I have no clue why, what causes it, but it happens. And he came up later in the day. He came up right before the game ended, and he found us. He was sitting somewhere else, and he came up and he told me a story about how he and his son wanted to help somebody out who was in higher seats and maybe couldn't afford to sit down there. And he wanted to find a father and a son. And he said, we stood out. And so it was like really touching. And he said that the reason that they were going to sell those seats, and this is a story about people and their good nature. He said they were going to sell those seats, and guys, they could have sold those seats for probably $500 a piece. He said the reason they didn't sell them was because he and his son had come across some really good business luck. And they had been very fortunate in a business venture that was something they were very worried about. And the deal that they really, really needed to keep their business going came through. And they wanted to give back as a thanks for they just wanted to give back and do something nice for somebody for a great thing that happened to them. And even though that wasn't me that gave them anything great, they decided not to sell the tickets. And him and his son went to the ball game, and his son was 28 years old. And they decided they were going to find 2 people to give those tickets to. And out of a 75,000 seat stadium, they found my son and I. And the greatest part was, at the end of the game, which we won, my son and I, our favorite player being Cam Newton, we got to give Cam Newton a high five as he came along the front of the row. So, just amazing stuff. There are people in this world who make you think humanity is lost. And then you meet people who you're like, you know what? The people that suck are the ones that just stand out. Most people are really good people. I try to tell my family that. I try to tell my kids that, my wife that the ugliness is what stands out. It's just, you have to realize most people are really good people. So, Virginia's right down there on the beach. I'm not walking all the way down there though. My car is right over here. This is a beautiful town, guys. Fifth Avenue, which we've never done a live on Fifth Avenue. This is it. This is beautiful. So, seems like you guys want to see the dolphin cruise first. So Sandy, if you're listening, sounds like we need to do the dolphin cruise first next week. So I'm going to get with Sandy and find a time and a day that she wants to do a live with Pure Florida on their Eco Dolphin Cruise, and we'll do it. We just got to see the times they go out and figure out what time is best. Yes, Ronnie, I'm in downtown Naples. Downtown Naples. Let's see. It's 9:30. Let's see, guys. I needed to get an air conditioner. So yes, we're in downtown Naples. Hi, Tom. I'm sorry, man. I saw you comment. I forgot to say hi to you. Let's see. Going to the beach. Yeah, I'm sitting here debating what I want to do, guys. I don't have much time, but maybe I'll do something. I don't know. What do you guys want to do? It's getting a little hot out. That's why it's that time of day, 9:30. So it seems like 9:30 is the time. So here's what I'm going to do. Tom says 3rd Street South, sorry. One thing I'm going to do is, if you guys like the lives like this, where we go on 5th Avenue and just kind of mill about, maybe next week on one of our lives, I'll go on 3rd Street and we'll just do that. I'm not going to have time to do that today though. And then maybe one morning we'll go back to 10 City soon. We need to do the Naples Depot again because they have the Holocaust train car sitting outside right now on display. Drive down 3rd. The problem is, guys, I can't look. I can drive it, but I can't see you guys. So just so you know, I have to mount this. So as I drive, I cannot, until I'm there, I cannot talk to you guys. So Naples Zoo. Yeah, we got to do Naples Zoo. I'm not going to do Naples Zoo until it cools off. But Naples Zoo is a great place to visit. We have done a live from the Naples Zoo, but it has been a while. It was last winter. There is a lot of work going on. A lot of construction trucks down here. Went out last night with my buddy Ace from Lovejoy Antiques. So visit Lovejoy Antiques. Had dinner with him last night. And then soon, Sandy and I need to do another Port Royal drive. I know you guys like that. Let's see. You know what I'm going to do? I never go this way, but I'm going to see if I can go up here, if I can get a signal. So if I lose signal, guys, you know why. This is why I don't come up this way too much. I typically have to go south to get a signal that's really good. Good morning, Michael. Okay, those are all handicap spots there. All right, guys, I'm gonna see if I can get a signal. If I buffer out, you guys know why. I like this beach access because they have a specially built access for wheelchairs. So, and I know it's for handicap use only, guys, but I want to show you guys. I feel like I'll do some community service here in helping show this. I'm not trying to violate any rules or anything. So this is the normal beach ramp right here. And you could take a wheelchair on that ramp. That's not what this is about. So it says for handicap use. So basically what this is, it's a special ramp for people who want to enjoy some time at the beach, but you can't wheel a wheelchair on the beach unless you have a special beach chair. So you can come right down here and you can park your wheelchair right here, and your family can sit here with you. Or if you can't walk on the beach, you could come walk down here. It's all level, it's all flat, and you could walk down here and you're looking right here at the water, and the sand comes right up here. Oh, there's a sailboat. Let me check that out. Virginia. Hi, how you doing? Hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you. I'll walk around. So we have Virginia, guys. So you guys see Virginia a lot on here, talking, chatting with us. Virginia has been around a long time on our page, and I've never got a chance to meet her. And here she is. She's from Staten Island. I'm pretty sure it's Staten Island. Let's see if I can remember. We'll find out. Let's see if my memory's good with Virginia.
Oh, Brandon, my wife follows you every day.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Good. Yeah, we found like 24, 25 dead fish.
Did you really?
Yeah,
What's in him?
all
How you doing, Virginia?
not in any great concentrations, but 2 or 3 everywhere.
So guys, they're saying that there are some dead fish out here. There were the other day, but yesterday I saw 2. Staten Island, right?
Yes.
Yep, I knew I had it right.
It doesn't look red and it doesn't smell.
No,
But there are
what I
fish.
think is, and this is what I've been trying to convey, is you don't notice any in the air. Yeah, so there's some dead fish there. You don't notice any in the air, but what I think it is, based on the latest report, is there's no red tide right along the water,
Right.
but it looks like on the map that if you were to go out like not very far, that there's plenty of it.
And you can see it actually looks red.
I don't think so. Now, when it's really, really, really bad, yeah. But I think what it is a lot of these fish are coming in from out there.
Well, we see people swimming, so I guess.
I wouldn't swim, but
No, me
I
neither.
wouldn't swim.
I'm a pool guy.
And
Yeah.
the man fishing.
He's
No,
fishing and throwing the fish back in.
You know what? At least they're biting. That's a good sign.
But it's cool.
Now this sailboat has been here all week.
Yeah, it's a nice looking boat.
He must literally be out there all week.
What do you think? The guy was doing the fishing?
Maybe,
I don't know.
maybe.
But it's just you're all like 1 or 2 grouped together. It's
Yeah.
not like,
Now if you go to Delnor Wiggins,
yeah.
they're lined. It's there's no gaps. So this is what I've been trying to tell people, is that
Right.
we're in a different situation than up there, but we seemingly get
All getting grouped together.
Yeah.
When we came there, we read that people weren't coming down. The tourism was way down.
And
the
that's what-
restaurants were
and-
closing. That's what they told us.
And so see, the thing is our page has grown, a lot of businesses have reached out to us, and we're hearing how they're hurting. And a lot of these businesses, all of them that we've heard from, are mom and pop businesses. They're all small businesses. And if those businesses disappear, downtown Naples is going to have a problem. And we all love downtown. We all love Naples.
Yes.
So we're trying to do our part, but I think what happens is people think that because we're supporting the businesses, that we're beholden to them. Yeah, yeah. And I get it.
Did they come and clean these fish up, or they just let them?
Well, we saw the beachcomber, but the beachcomber did not come down to the water. It stays up in the loose sand. There have been people saying that there's been people picking them up, but I haven't seen it.
All right.
How long are you guys down for?
Just till Sunday.
Okay. Now, do you have a place here?
Yeah, we have
Okay.
a place in Orlando.
Because one thing I noticed was you seemingly are down here more than a lot of
Here in
people.
July,
Okay.
October, and January, 2-3 months people.
All right. All right. Well, that's good.
Hot.
It is hot. I'd rather be in Staten Island right now.
That's right.
I know. I'd rather be in. I'm waiting until like November. I cannot wait till November.
October, November, baby.
Did you say your father was from Washington?
Yep.
He was, huh?
Born and raised. Yep.
Orange, New Jersey, born and raised.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, my dad, born and raised there, and then moved to North Carolina. That's where I'm from. But we went up there quite a bit. You know, not a lot, but it was nice to go up and visit and see.
You know, this is off season, but out of actually.
Probably. Yeah,
You know, it's
probably.
restaurant,
Yep. Yeah, it's taking a hit. And so that's the thing is I'm like, you don't want to see, the beach conditions aren't bad to come out and hang out. And I think it's a shame that people are canceling trips because they think that this is worse. Now they are doing a release today.
I know.
Where is this place?
It's Lake Okeechobee to the Caloosahatchee. So
Goes down.
basically Port Charlotte. Basically Port Charlotte. So
And that when they release it, you can actually see it.
Yeah.
Release.
you,
Like a big wave.
no, it's not so much a wave. But what happens is, in this instance, what's happened is they've released so much water, and it's fresh water meeting that salt water, and it's all hot water. It's created a slime in the river. The river's covered in slime, and then when it gets to the Gulf, it turns the water red.
Because of the fresh versus the salt. Or
It's
colder,
part of it.
colder?
Well, they're both hot, and the red tide is created when hot fresh water meets hot salt water. And then you add pollutants into the water, which all lakes are pretty polluted these days, it seems, and it just exacerbates it. And so that's why so many people are upset.
You have to keep releasing it because there's just so much rain.
Yeah,
The lakes
yeah.
get too high.
And that's the thing is a lot of people are new to the whole red tide concept, but we're not. Living here, we're not. And there's been red tide ever since I've lived here, almost 20 years.
But not to the point that.
Not like, well, I've always seen dead fish. Like this is not abnormal.
Okay.
But what's happening up in North Naples is abnormal. But we haven't had that level of red tide down here. And so it's ugly, and I hope that this release doesn't just re-spark everything. But what's helped us is the wind. The winds have been pushing this way a lot, and it's really helped.
That has to do with the hurricane from last
Yeah,
year?
yeah, I do. And I don't think that's being talked about enough. Lake Okeechobee is fed all the way from Lakeland. And if you remember, unlike a lot of hurricanes that swiped the state,
This one was-
Irma went straight up through it, and it dumped so much water between Lakeland and Okeechobee. And then May was a record month for rain. And so the problem is that dike is so old on the south side that the Army Corps of Engineers is afraid to allow the water to rise.
Right, because I heard the lesson. Thousands of people
Yeah.
flooded out.
It happened. Way back in the day, it happened, and like 2,000 people. So before there was even a lot of settlement in those areas. So you add that today, and you're talking tens of thousands of people. Instant, you know.
This time of year, it's bored like every day, right? In
Yep.
the afternoon?
Yep.
Every morning.
The solution is out there, but it's not easy like a lot of
Not an
people
easy
think it is.
solution.
No, it's not an easy solution.
Interesting, you're listening to you talk about all these people who are so super negative.
Oh, they're
They have a
upset with
political
us.
agenda.
They're so
Right.
upset with us.
Twist everything.
They're so upset with us. And I don't understand it because we
It's
show
just
it.
got so politicized. If you don't agree with their opinion right now, they're just trying to knock
And
you
that's
down
the
and
issue
insult you.
is you can't have a conversation when it becomes all politics.
No, it is. Everything is politics.
Yeah, he says that all the time.
Yep.
You talk to somebody, oh, you're a Trump supporter, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want
Yeah,
to go to
you
your
just-
restaurant. I don't want you to
And the thing is, I would love to get behind some of these movements, but you can't because
They're all backed by money.
They're all backed by money.
Soros or guys like that with stupid Antifa.
Yeah.
The black
Saying-
masks that they wear.
No, the way you talk.
oh yeah.
Oh my God.
But a lot of people are thinking like we think. It's just that we get a
We're
few
silent.
boneheads.
We don't go out and start fighting with people.
Right.
We just keep our thoughts to ourselves.
Well, I always felt like there's a way to handle things. There's a way to talk to people. I tell my kids, I'm like, the minute that you come at me with a raised tone, we're done.
Yeah,
If you want to talk, we'll talk.
exactly. Very good.
One of the
we saw some real things.
Yeah.
They look like fish,
Well,
but
do you know what they are?
they look.
They're puffer fish.
Oh, they are.
They're
Oh,
puffer
that's
fish.
right. All right.
Yep.
Okay, great.
How come the birds don't eat these fish?
I don't know. I don't know.
I will.
I wouldn't eat them either.
Very good. We'll let you go back to work.
All right.
Nice meeting you.
Very nice
Good
meeting
luck.
you
You're
guys.
doing a good job.
Virginia, it is fantastic to meet you.
Thank you.
I was telling people, I'm like, finally I meet Virginia, right?
I'm here.
Finally. All right, guys. Thank you, guys. All right, guys. I am going to have to get in the shade or we're going to end up getting cut off. It's getting warm out. So let's get up here in the shade. I would keep you down at the water, but I can't. When season rolls around and it gets cooler out, we'll hang out down at the water. Back to work, back to work. Yep, we're gonna be going here in just a second, guys. So it was nice to meet you guys. I know I'm Virginia and her husband. They sound like amazing people. And oh, look at the feeding frenzy. Look at the feeding frenzy, guys. I would bet that's snook. The snook are making the bait fish go crazy. So anyways, the last few weeks we've been meeting a lot of you guys, and I encourage you guys, if you see us when you're out, feel free to come up and say hi. Last night, by the way, Jamie, I wanted to give you a shout out. Jamie, thank you for coming up at Chatterbox and saying hi. And Jamie runs Naples Culinary Walks. So if you guys want to look that up, it's naplesculinarywalks.com. And check her out. And by the way, Chatterbox has been killing it. If you go to Chatterbox, good luck finding a parking spot, first of all. And then, so you may have to park maybe along I think it's 2nd Street. So you can park there, but yeah, with Chatterbox, you're gonna, don't be surprised if you have to fight for a parking spot. And to you guys wondering if there's red tide in the area, I'm gonna suggest that you go back to our page, our Naples Photoblog page, and check out the brand new released map that I put up there yesterday. Yesterday I put up the map that they released, which is amazing. They're clearly, as this is going, they're developing new technology. And it looks like now they're using satellites to see the red tide. At least that's what it appeared to be. So check that out. And it literally shows from like a satellite view, kind of, the red tide locations. And you'll get an idea of exactly what we've been reporting versus where other people are reporting. And you can see why there's a difference. Thank you, Molly. I hear a helicopter coming. It is a beautiful day out here, guys. And I highly encourage you guys, if you're planning to come to the beach, not to change those reservations. I would not go in the water. If you feel like you have to go in the water to be here, then you might want to reconsider, but that's up to you. There are people swimming. Here's this helicopter. Look how low he is. And I gotta tell you guys, that helicopter right there can't be more than 200 feet off the ground, if that. And I just don't understand why some of these pilots fly so low. There are people that fly drones out here illegally. I have a drone. I'm a drone flyer. I'm an avid drone flyer. I fly very well. I love it. I think that it's amazing. But so many people, you're not allowed to fly over here. You're not allowed to fly in this part of town. If you see somebody flying in this part of town, they either got permission from the tower at Naples Airport or they're doing it illegally. And because we are right at the airport, and you're allowed to fly a drone up to 400 feet. Even though it's illegal to fly right here, people do it. I've seen it. And anytime I've ever flown here, which is these days it's rare because I just know the pattern with the planes. I'm a risk averse type person, and I don't want to put anybody's lives in danger. But when a helicopter's flying that low through here, that's an accident waiting to happen. Yeah, they probably are taking photos, but that's really, really dangerous. Fortunately, Sandy and I, when we do the Key Waden trip with Pure Florida, we plan on taking the drone out and doing a Facebook Live from the drone. See how it goes. That area is actually beyond the limit for flying. And the rule is that you cannot fly within 5 miles of the center point of the Naples airport. Heading down tomorrow from upstate New York is Sandy. Very cool, Sandy. And if you guys didn't see the time lapse, yesterday was an active storm day. And so I knew the clouds would be crazy good. And so we did a time lapse that I posted it last night. So if you haven't had a chance to see that, go to our YouTube page and check out our time lapse that we did from yesterday. And you can also find that, get there from our Facebook page. And I'm hoping maybe to do another one today because I think the clouds are going to be pretty cool again today because they are calling for an active day with storms today. Yes, we are going to be going to Key Waden very soon. And we're going to be doing a dolphin cruise, which we'll probably do next week, depending on the schedule. Sandy and I have got to get that first one locked in. And then we're going to develop the rest of the schedule with these trips. And even one of them is going to be in Fort Myers, doing the river cruise in Fort Myers. Even though that is in Fort Myers, it will be hosted on Naples Photo Blog, not Southwest Florida Photo Blog, our sister page. That will be on Naples Photo Blog. Yeah, and if you guys are talking about Southwest Florida Television, they typically do most of their lives from Delnor Wiggins State Park. And it should be noted, because I think this is what's causing some of this confusion, is that the conditions at Delnor Wiggins Park are vastly different than they are where we are standing right here. And so it needs to be stated that what you see up there is not what you're seeing down here. I know that's hard to believe because it's such a short distance in between, but guys, I don't make the conditions, I simply report the conditions. And that is what it is. Scott, what is VIB? Yeah, and basically I'll give you guys a rundown on what happened with this gentleman, Roy. This gentleman, Roy, is a very old, man, that sounded really bad, an older gentleman. And I say that because it needs to be noted in terms of what happened, but it could happen to any of us, so I really should preface it by just saying in general. But Roy, I think, is like 90 years old, and they talk to him typically in the mornings on their lives, and he's been in the hospital, pretty bad condition due to a flesh-eating bacteria due to an open wound from the water. But his doctors told him it isn't specific to red tide, and that bacteria lives in the Gulf year-round because of the temperatures. We do not get cold enough down here to kill that bacteria. So no matter what time of year, no matter your age, no matter your health, this is something that isn't said very often. If you have a wound, an open wound, you should not go in the water. You should not go in the water. one thing you would want to consider possibly, because you can get cut from a shell on the beach, a fish bone, anything like that, is possibly, if you want, wear some beach shoes. And the bacteria is a flesh-eating bacteria. There was a gentleman, I don't even know where it was, but it was in Florida, was bitten by a shark, and just from that bite and the wound being open for that short period of time he was in the water after he was bitten, he now has a flesh-eating bacteria. Oh, yeah. The difference between North Naples and downtown is amazing, guys. It's hard to describe, and I think that's why so many people don't believe it. But what I would encourage you to do is watch our lives, because we're on the beach. We're standing on the beach. And there are some dead fish on the beach, but if you have, the reason I said take a picture is because everything is perspective. Everything is perspective in life in general. And somebody can come on the beach right now and see a couple of fish and say there's a ton of fish on the beach. But if you were to go to Del Nor-Wiggins and see their conditions, you would come down here and go, well, there's not much going on down here. And so what I'm saying is, here's what we're gonna do. And I know I'm repeating myself, but it's because so many new people come in. We're going to develop a plan so that those of you who think that we're full of it or sugarcoating it, we can coexist, we can get along. And so what we're gonna do is, VIB is the short for the flesh-eating bacteria. That stuff's so scary. Thanks, Scott, I appreciate that. Scott, the resident encyclopedia and historian, Naples historian. So what we're gonna do is this. So yesterday we had a gentleman, Ted, on, who Ted and I were kind of going back and forth. So here's what we're gonna do. I gotta win people like Ted over. So the way I'm gonna do that is this. If you come out on the beach in Naples, we report Naples. If you come on the beach in Naples and you see conditions that you don't like or that you do like, take a picture of the beach, take a picture of the street sign, and then send it to us on our Facebook page's message button. And then we'll verify those conditions, and then we'll talk about it in our live. We have no issue saying that conditions in a certain area are bad if they're bad, but we can't just say, like what happened yesterday with people saying, well, we were down there and there were fish everywhere. Fish everywhere is very relative, because some people see 4 or 5 fish on an entire stretch of beach and they call that fish everywhere. But they haven't been up to Del Nor-Wiggins and seen what we would call fish everywhere. So we can't operate in the relative realm. We have to, if we're gonna do our part in being honest for the community while helping the community, we've got to say the right things. The terminologies right now are important. And so we can't overstate it, we can't understate it. And so to do that, we have to be accurate. And so that's what we're gonna do. That way people like Ted or myself or anybody else, we can all get along with this. And maybe we'll stop the hostility that seems to be pervasive right now. And I think it's important to put this out there because they are releasing water from Lake Okeechobee today. And it's the first time they've done it in a while. And so up there in Port Charlotte, in that area, it's probably gonna get pretty ugly again, guys. But that does not mean here. We are in a summer wind pattern, and right now you can even see it on the water. The wind is moving the water that way. It's moving the water northwest. And it does not matter how much water they release from Lake Okeechobee. If these winds stay in this direction, you're not going to see conditions change much in Naples. You're gonna see improvement in Naples, and what you're gonna see is worse conditions north of Naples. And I do encourage you guys to watch whatever news outlet you support, even locally, but I really encourage you guys to check in here, ask questions, verify what you're hearing on the news, because I know that not a lot of these news agencies are covering all of the beaches. They're going to a beach, and typically they're going to the worst one that they can find. And then they're reporting it as though all of Naples is like that, and it's just not true. So check in with us, and we'll go from there. Tina, who's been to the pier, says the conditions have been beautiful, and we have seen the exact same thing, Tina. The weather, the water seems to be beautiful right now. It's fairly clear. When the sun gets up here in another hour, it'll have some beautiful color. I can already see the sandbar, so the water is clear enough where I can see the sandbar. And that's probably 100 yards out, and I can see the sandbar. So we're doing all right. We got this guy out here on the water. I seriously doubt this guy would have been anchored out here all week if he was choking out there. Naples is beautiful right now, guys. It's hot, but it's a typical summer pattern right now. And while most people are looking at the water, we're down here in downtown where things are really nice. And at this point, my attention is watching the tropics, which we're all in the clear for now. But I'm ready to get my attention to that, because that's going to be something. We're coming into the height of hurricane season over the next month. And it's time to start looking at the right places. Not that we're going to turn our attention away from red tide, but until we start seeing bad conditions in our area, we're not going to harp on it too much going forward. We'll report the conditions, and then we're going to refer people to the posts that we're making from FWC about the conditions. It's a gorgeous day. We're getting a nice cloud development out here. Probably going to get a storm out of that, which I hope. Yeah, thank you. Susan says your info is more accurate than the news. Awesome. You know, we're not trying to compete with anybody. We're just trying to be honest. And like I said when I first came on, and some of you who have been on the whole time will have heard it. If you didn't, here's basically our position on this is, at least my position. I'm not going to even speak for Sandy, but my position is negativity drives numbers. And, you know, our page has done really well long before this issue came up. We're very happy with our audience. We're very happy with this page's performance. And we're doing things the way we want to do it. And we're not letting outside factors change what we want to do. And what we've noticed is there are other people who do lives who don't get much engagement. They don't get a lot of views. And suddenly they start talking about terrible things and how horrible things are and how the beaches are incredibly bad. And suddenly their numbers jump up. And we're just not going to do that. And what happened was, when their numbers jump up, what do you think they're going to do the next time they go live? They've never had numbers like they have when they talk bad about red tide, like, you know, bad about the beaches. So negativity drives numbers. We're not going to change. We're not giving false information. Are we biased to Naples? Well, of course we are, guys. We love our community, and we love our small businesses, and we support our small businesses. But if I was out here right now with red tide coughing, I would tell you. And proof in that is you just need to stick around long enough to know. Because back over the off season, back when it was cooler, March, April, there was red tide out here, and we talked about it every day. And we talked about how bad it was. So, good morning, Bean. Yes, honesty is best, Susan. I agree. Thank you for sharing, Verona. Thank you very much. And if any of you guys feel so inclined, I would love it if you guys would share this. The shares, man, I got to turn the stop. I got to learn to start talking to you guys when I'm talking a little bit more. I know the camera, it's better to look at that than me. But when I want to send a message to you, I got to think about talking to you. The shares, guys, the shares are what drives this page. We don't pay for a lot of likes. We don't pay for all the attention that we get. You guys have created this page. You guys have built what we've got going on here. And this is a thing between you and I, between our followers. Like, we just met Virginia from Staten Island. And I am so grateful that you guys help us by sharing this page like you do. It means a lot. And it really means a lot that I see a lot of you guys that I've seen for a year now doing these lives. So please share this. It really helps the page. And hopefully you guys see us as a resource, not just to see beautiful Naples, but as a resource to keep up with what's going on here. This page was created to keep you guys connected to Naples. That's the entire purpose of this page. So, and now we're trying to do our part in helping local businesses, helping the community any way we can. And one way we have found is through our engagement numbers and our reach. This past week, we reached 124,000 people, which is mind-boggling. I don't even get it, but okay. But I feel like there's a responsibility and that we should be helping businesses through their tough times. And if we can help a business get their word out, build their brand, and that business seamlessly integrates to what we're doing, like Pure Florida, then we're gonna do that. And that benefits us, it benefits the business, it benefits you. And that's the three-pronged attack there, guys. If we can do something in a relationship that benefits everybody involved, then we're gonna do it. So with that, I would say please share this. And also please give a visit to Pure Florida, purefl.com. And those guys are great over there. Everybody that we've dealt with over there, Harry, Lance, Robin, Mary, those guys could not be nicer people. When you meet with them, it's like meeting with friends and family. It really is. It's really crazy, actually. So, let's see. Oh, is Ted back? Ted says, you know I kept my mouth shut for the past half hour. You need to do some homework. For all you watching and listening, the Army Corps of Engineers has been dumping billions of bacteria-laden water from Big O for weeks now. Okay, Ted, I don't know what to tell you, bud. I don't think I've disagreed with a single thing you've said. So, yeah, Ted just doesn't understand that. And I'm trying to, Ted, I'm trying to win you over, bud. I'm trying. Like, I'm doing everything I can. So here's what I would say, Ted. And this is the ground rule for everybody. And I'm not gonna ban Ted. I'm not gonna block Ted. That came up yesterday. I'm not gonna do it. It's not, I just think that's weak. But here's the deal. We're gonna talk about Naples beaches, all right? We're gonna talk about Naples, primarily downtown. And beyond that, you can go to other pages and find out whatever you wanna know. And guys, I will never claim that everything I say is 100% on point. In fact, yesterday, and maybe even earlier today, at one point, I said I don't even know about half the stuff I'm talking about. I think sometimes I even say to Scott, I say something and I say, if I'm wrong, correct me, because sometimes I have no clue. I'm just guessing. But I do know that whether it is a new release or an increased volume release, that's really getting into semantics, which I don't really care much about, to be honest with you. I do know that what's happening today wasn't happening yesterday. So whether that's an increase in volume or a total new release, honestly, I don't care. The fact is something's changing, and that's what matters. All right, so Ted, here's what I'm gonna say to you, dude. I'm gonna keep you on, but you're gonna have to start being more reasonable. And I'm not a news outlet. I'm some dude that walks a beach. And you're not paying me to do it, and nobody on here is paying me to do it. And we do this out of love of our community. And so what I'm gonna ask is just the respect that if you have an opinion, don't just say I'm wrong. Be polite and come back with a response. One thing, you know, Ted, you're 56 years old, you said yesterday, and here's what I'm gonna leave it at. Because I don't wanna create wars. I'm not that guy. And I think everybody following this knows I'm really like a nice guy. Like I try to be. I don't have that mean nature in me. I don't have like the nature in me to come at you the way you're coming at me. And so what I'm gonna say is what I say to my children. And I'm not saying that to demean you. I'm not saying that to belittle you. But it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And if you want me to listen, then let's have a conversational tone. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to move on from you, man. Yeah, and that's the thing. Bean says the more I reply to him, the more he's going to talk. And I know I'm feeding Ted saying what he's saying, but the thing is, I think Ted in his heart is coming from the right place. And I think he's upset about the conditions. I think he's upset about what's going on. And I get that. I'm upset about it too. But I don't know why Ted's focusing his anger here calling me a fraud, calling me, I don't know. So here's the deal. I'm just gonna stop responding to it until Ted wants to have a conversation. So that's it. I'm loving this content. I wish I had my time lapse going of this. One thing that's interesting, and sometimes I get into my philosophy, and I have a friend, one of my best friends, one I had dinner with last night. Politically, we are on not just opposites, we are like opposite spectrum. Like we are opposite ends of the spectrum. And this is one of my best friends. And the reason we're best friends and the reason we sit down and have dinner, and I'll tell you what's interesting, is we love to talk politics because neither one of us gets upset. And so think about it when you think about why don't people talk about politics? Because this is a political issue for the most part. It has turned into a political issue. It shouldn't be, but it has turned into one. People don't talk politics because they get too emotional. And yet I have a best friend who is so on the different end of the spectrum from me on politics issues. And yet we sit down and have discussions, and I actually look forward to him because he's not an emotional person. We have conversations and we can even like make fun at each other about it. But at the end of the day, we're both trying to see where the other person's coming from. So you want to be heard, speak respectfully. Yeah, and that's another thing. So Janine said it. Janine says, that's not why we follow this page. Guys, you got to understand something. And I think I'm giving a lot of leeway here because people don't realize a lot of people that have joined this page have joined since the red tide issue has been about. We've been around for a long time before red tide. This page was not built on red tide. We are people who come to the beach long before red tide was an issue. And we just come out on the beach and we just go out on boats and we just show you guys Naples. That's what we're here for. So don't think that we're here to report red tide. We're doing it because we feel like we need to, and we feel like it's almost like because you guys want to hear it, it's something we need to say. We can't ignore it. If we ignore it, it would look really bad. So, but I cannot wait for the day. I cannot wait for the day. Like seriously cannot wait for the day that we don't have to talk about this anymore. Every day that we start to go live, I dread the idea that we've got to talk about red tide again because I know it dominates the conversation. But out of responsibility to you guys and to being just intellectually honest, we have to talk about it. But I cannot wait till the day that I can come out on the beach and we're talking about how beautiful the water is and how we're looking at fish and we're watching the birds and watching a thunderstorm. I'm looking forward to that day. It feels like it was so long ago, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. Those of you who have followed for a long time probably feel like it has been forever since we've been able to have a real good conversation just about Naples. And I think the last time was when we were down underneath the pier, for those of you who remember, when I was standing under the pier when it was closed. And it was the day that I actually got a plank from the pier. And there was a dolphin chasing a fish, and you could see the fish jumping out of the water and you could see the dolphin jumping out behind it. And I think that was like the last time that we did a live and we weren't talking about red tide. Well, part of it's my fault, guys. I've tried. I'm one of these people that I don't get offended, so there's nothing that anybody's gonna say to offend me. I have a really thick skin. And honestly, if we didn't have thick skins, we couldn't do what we're doing, guys, because we see even stuff that you guys probably don't see. So we do have a thick skin, and that doesn't bother me. I think what it is I just try to make sure that you guys don't get misled by the trolls. And so that's why sometimes I respond to them is actually in defense of you guys. So, because I know you guys come down here. You guys are the ones spending money to visit. And I want you guys to be able to make educated decisions. I'm also looking forward to getting to some cooler weather so I can go spend more time down at the water with you guys. Thank you very much, Janine. I appreciate that. I will say this, and I genuinely mean it. I said this back in February, and I probably don't say it enough. And I don't want to come off as disingenuous because I genuinely do mean it. Like, I think that our page has like the best followers ever. And I mean that because you go on so many other pages and there's so much craziness on other pages. There's so much infighting, there's so much trolling and all. I have, other than a couple people that I know say what they got to say, and I actually value differing opinion as long as it's respectful. But I think this page has like the best human beings. And everybody that I've met, all right, I lost you guys a moment. Everybody that I've met has been so friendly. And more people are starting to come up and say hi. And I like that. And really, really appreciate it. And it lets us know who's following us. And now that I met Virginia and her husband. It's like now when I see Virginia on here, Virginia, it's nice to have met you. And I feel a connection there when I talk to people and you guys talk back. So really do appreciate it. You guys are the best followers out there, and I genuinely mean that. I have no clue sometimes what's going on when this page has gotten so big. We're approaching 30,000 followers. We're approaching, well, we have 124,000 people reached this past week. I sometimes go, I don't get it. Like, I don't even get it. Like, it's so crazy. This page is blown up. We now have businesses calling us, wanting us to do business with them, which it's just staggering to me. And so, yeah, I just want to tell you guys thank you. Just thank you guys so much. And you guys are really cool people. And a lot of you guys are really different, but you're really cool. Like, you know, Scott, for example, Scott Riley. Scott, you're a goofy guy, man. You're funny, but Scott's knowledgeable. And Scott's bringing a lot to the page, like by telling me I'm wrong about the sea grapes. And, but I love it. I don't mind being wrong. I love the fact that I just learned something about sea grapes last week or earlier in the week. Scott keeps getting on my case about not putting people that I meet on camera. I can't do it, man. You'd be surprised. People don't want to be on camera. It's not comfortable being on camera, by the way. It took me a while. I'm fully comfortable with it now, but I got to be honest. When Sandy and I first talked, and I told Sandy, I'm like, listen, Sandy, we need to get on and talk to the people. Like, we need to let them know who we are. She didn't gravitate to it right away. She may end up saying she did, but we were both a little nervous about it. And when I first did this blog, I didn't even talk, even with the camera facing away. I didn't even talk because I was too shy. I'm a very shy person by nature, and which I know some people probably don't understand that, considering I talk to you guys, but I've gotten comfortable with it. And so I enjoy talking to you guys. I don't think much of it. It feels very natural. But when you just go up to somebody and you have the camera out with this gimbal, it's sitting on top of the gimbal and it kind of looks big, it kind of looks weird. People don't feel comfortable. See, thank you, Virginia. Virginia didn't want to be on camera. So Scott, get my back, Scott. I'm just joking with you, man. Scott's been getting on my case. We met a fan earlier in the week, and Scott got on me for not putting him on camera, but people just don't want to be on camera. And I get it, because, man, it's like the most uncomfortable feeling when you first do it. And it was actually, Mike says he remembers those days. I actually started talking first behind the camera because I had you guys telling us, some of you guys who have been around that long, you guys were like, man, you need to talk. Why aren't you talking? And there was no connection. There was like the page and followers, but there was no connection. And it seems like once we started connecting by putting the camera on us with you guys, it created something there. And that's why I love meeting you guys, because you guys get to see us and we don't see the faces behind. And there's another feeding frenzy going on. We don't see the faces behind on your end. And so when we meet you guys like Virginia and her husband, it's nice now, because now I know when Virginia comes on and she's back home in Staten Island and she's interacting, I now have a person that I've met. It's like a friend. So her and her husband. So it was really cool. Susie says, I'll be looking for you in April. Well, make sure you guys let us know where you are. Kids and teens dig being on camera. Yeah, I guess. I'm not a kid or a teen, and I did not find it comfortable when we first started doing it. I don't think Sandy found it that comfortable either. But I think the reason I felt comfortable is because you guys are so friendly, honestly, and I mean that. I have learned a lot about doing what we're doing from other people who do it. There's particular people I follow that I've got a lot of appreciation for in different parts of the country. And I basically took a lot of advice from them, watching them. And mean people make it difficult, but good people make it easier. And so now there's so many of you good people that when somebody comes on and they're beating us up, it doesn't really bother me. Hey Mike, I've got a face for radio too, man. But I don't have the voice for radio like Tom Clinch does. Tom Clinch has got a radio voice. So I'm stuck, dude. I gotta put on the I gotta put the radio face on camera. I got no choice. All right, guys. So I'm gonna pretty much wrap it up, but I do want to say this. Please do us a favor if you have not already, and visit our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com. And Tom says he hates being on camera. Well, Tom, you don't need to get on camera with that kind of voice. I've heard Tom talk. Tom, radio voice is Tom, okay? Tom's that guy that's got that radio voice. But please follow us on YouTube by subscribing on YouTube. And if you're a Patreon follower, I sent out a message yesterday. If you're a Patreon follower, on Monday, we're gonna be ordering 2 5x7s per Patreon member. And we're gonna send those to you guys. If you're in the States and you're a Patreon member, go to the Patreon post and comment in the Patreon post with your mailing address. And if you don't wanna put it on that post, send it to us on a message. And we're gonna, and go to our page, our photo page, which is linked in that Patreon post, and choose 2 photos and tell us which one you want. And we're gonna have 2 of those printed and send them to you. And those are gonna be 5x7s. And they're gonna be beautiful quality. You're gonna love them. It's not gonna be like printing it at home. Beautiful, beautiful photos. And we're gonna do that periodically in hopes that you guys can build up a little collection of some photos from Naples. And they're professional quality. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff. So if you're a Patreon member, make sure you go on there by Monday night at midnight and tell us what 2 photos you want, and we're gonna have those shipped to you. If you're not a Patreon member, go to patreon.com and sign up to be a Patreon, which is basically a monthly contribution to the page, contribution number of your choice, does not matter, $1 to however much you want. And we're gonna do things like that for our Patreon members. It's sort of a tight-knit little group there of people who support the page and help us out. So if you are a Patreon member, make sure you get that in. If you're not yet, go over there and do it, and we'll still do it for you as long as it's by Monday at midnight. And thank you for liking, thank you for commenting, for sharing. I think that's pretty much it. Make sure you visit Pure Florida. Link to the Patreon page. Here's what I would say to do. It's patreon.com. I know the link, but I don't want to screw it up. Patreon.com, and then there's a search bar. Search for Naples Photo Blog, and it'll come up. I think that's pretty much it. Make sure to visit Pure Florida, since we are doing some things with them, and that website is purefl.com. And next week, we'll be going out on one of their boats with you guys. And I'm not sure yet, but probably the Dolphin Cruise, which is what you guys wanted to see. So once I get our schedule down for that. And then next week, one day next week, we're getting with a realtor who has a really, really beautiful property, like a block in from the beach down near the pier. It's probably like a $7 million property. And we're gonna get to go in it and do a live walking through the house with him, with the realtor. And I think you guys are gonna like that. This house has an elevator inside of it. You're gonna get to see how the rich and famous, or at least the rich, live, which is kind of cool. So something not a lot of people are doing. So I think it'll be cool. So, you have a good day as well, Scott. You're funny, man. Thank you guys for the support. You guys are awesome. Seriously, you guys are awesome. So, thank you guys. Have a great day and a great weekend. And maybe Sandy will be on here tonight. I don't know. She's got